Is it possible to meet your future husband when you enter the White House or some form of political office, position, title? What if? Because no, I'm divorced. But what if getting remarried? I do believe very strongly that that's on the agenda, and it is on the agenda. And I think about the men that I've had the pleasure of meeting over the last few years, and I think about what it is that I look for in a spouse and a mate in companionship, friendship, romance, relationship, marriage. And I know that it weighs so heavily on my heart, the thought and the idea of marrying again. And perhaps that at one point in time, the man that I've crossed paths with was the ideal man. It was they fit, or they molded, or they were potential mates to be spouses. But that was at a point in my life that I feel that was at a crossroad that I've crossed. I'm not the same woman today that I was 15 years ago. I'm not the same woman today that I was 5 years ago. You know, I've grown, I've matured, I've went on a different direction in my life. And I think with that comes not only the change in self, not only do it provide self-awareness and self-love, but it's because of these relationships and encounters and the type of men that I've met, and you know, to find out like their in-depths and their qualities. And yes, they all have their good. We all are human beings, and we have our good sides, we have our bad sides, we have, you know, but I think that I've went down that journey, that road, that path. And it was at one point in a time that me and marrying a professional basketball player was ideal. But I've crossed that road. I've outgrown that journey to marry a man that was in professional sports. You know, I think that was a part of my DNA. And I think if life never seems to go down the crossroad or the path that's honestly laid before us by God, because you always find and meet people that's jealous of your destiny, jealous of your goals, jealous of your dreams, jealous of your ambition, your drive. And I think that, yes, at one point in time, me marrying a professional athlete was part of the journey. But I think that journey it's not that journey any longer for me. Yes, I still have a love for the sport, and I still have a love for players that still play the sport. But most of the players now have married, or they've been involved in different, relationships, or they've been engaged and not engaged. And you have people all the time that go down the path and that crossroad and hoping to meet you and things like that. And then I look at people that have frequented the White House. I look at people that have been to the inauguration, or been to a presidential dinner or luncheon or states dinner. And I look at all these people that's been in certain industries that have attended these functions. And then I think about it and I realize that some of these same functions I should have attended and been at. I look at some people that make the guest list for so many events. And then I've asked myself countless and countless times, how on earth can they be on that guest list? When we start talking about the prestige and a certain level of people that should be frequenting certain things, and then when I look at some of the people that be at some of these events and functions, and I'm like, that's not right. There's no way that they should be on that guest list. There's no way that that person should be at that event. But I've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And I've asked myself that question a zillion times. All these things matter. All these things is what has shaped our economy and our future to what it is today. All these things have been allowed to happen and to take place, and it has pulled down this society. It has pulled down this country. It has pulled down surrounding countries. It has pulled down these industries. I don't even know how to define what's considered luxury anymore, or what's considered an upscale, upper class event, or a prestige event. I go to functions now and I'm just like, what is this? And you dress and you might dress extra, and people looking at you like, you overdressed. Nobody ain't tell you how to dress. And I'm saying to myself, and I may be looking at that person, well, I dress like this all the time. I don't need no fucking body to tell me how to dress. Perhaps somebody need to tell you how to update your fucking wardrobe, your style. Because there is no right and wrong with how a person chooses to dress. You wear what the fuck you want to wear. And you wear it when you want to wear it. How many times a person that went on a date and the female was all dressed up and the man come pick you up and they got on tennis shoes and a warm-up suit, and you got on stilettos and you done did the damn thing, but you still go out with their ass, and you overdressed and they looking one way and you looking another way, but you still proceed. So nobody don't need to tell me, because every time I step foot out the door, that's how it is. Unless the person that I happen to be in the presence of may be going to work and their job requires them to dress a certain way. So they basically have on what you would define as a standard uniform. So yeah, I may have sweatpants on at that point in time, because I'm not going on a job. I'm at home, or I work from home, or they may be on their lunch break. So yeah, they may be a little bit dressier than what I am, but they supposed to be, because that's what their job details. See, that always goes back to the question, if you don't know something, why not just ask? We live in a society with generations of people that all they want to do is pull stuff down. This group, this 18 to 35 year generation, is where the problems are at. That's where your problems are at. And it's a major problem. So to meet my husband, future husband, or husband to be, it's gonna take them upper, elegant, class functions, events. And he may not be in politics, but then he may be in politics. He may just have a job. It just may be his career path, and he may have a prestige or a position that holds power. He may not be a Secretary of State. May not even be a governor. He may not even be a Senate. But that doesn't mean that he may not be the director of Central Intelligence Unit, or the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. See, you have different titles, And different titles holds different levels of what? Power. Did you get that? Is that what did I just say? Or did I really just say that? Which theme am I in? My thoughts exactly. I'm ready to leave. Or did we somehow jump over to perhaps? We in season 9. No script. Did y'all just zone me into something else? I don't want no script. I'm not gonna read from no script. I don't rehearse. I speak from the heart. Now, perhaps many don't want me to do my show like that because you don't know what I'm gonna say. But no one is gonna be able to sit down and write no script unless I'm gonna be on nationalized television. That'll be the only way somebody gonna be able to tell me what I'm gonna say, when I'm gonna say it, and to what extent I get to say it. Otherwise, this is the Keisha Phillips Show, and it's unsolicited, and that means exactly what it says. I can say what I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it, and to whatever goddamn fucking extent I decide to say it to. Because I don't need anyone's permission to say what I want to say on my show. This is my show, copyright protected. So if there's a topic that you want me to talk about or something that particularly you need me to address, or a topic that you don't want me to address, then perhaps you can kindly request that. And I may or may not oblige, but I will definitely respect it and keep it and take it into consideration. But nobody's gonna tell me how to run my show. I finance myself. I'm the CEO. I'm the captain of my life. I run my life. This is my life. I'm living it. I'm gonna live it fully. I'm gonna always be respectful. I'm gonna always respect oaths. I'm gonna always respect code of ethics. I'm gonna always respect codes. So until somebody give me a job that requires me to do differently, or a job that tells me that I can no longer do the Keisha Phillips Show, because it is, what's the proper terminology? So until that day comes, or till that moment comes, or that happens, the Keisha Phillips Show is going to continue. And I'm going to continue to speak my mind. I'm going to continue to speak to the American people and answer the questions of the American people and talk about the things that the American people have thus so far have asked me to talk about, topics that they have requested me to discuss. I'm going to continue to do that until otherwise noted. And if that means that I'm going to meet my spouse to be in a predominant setting of prestige job, then we're going to go forward until that happens. Because I don't know how you expect me to walk down the aisle with a man if y'all got issues with that man. Because anybody can change their ways. Any man, just like a woman go out there and get makeovers. new looks, new hairstyles, start dressing differently. Now I don't expect him to have to walk around like he working a 9 to 5, but to be with me, you gonna damn sure have to be able to be willing to put on a dinner jacket. This world have to stop trying to judge people by because just because you perceive a person one way doesn't mean that your perception of that person is correct. An artist, I had the opportunity, you'll never believe me when I tell you, but I had the opportunity to meet Kendrick Lamar. Prior to me meeting him, I didn't know who he was from nobody else that was out there singing his line of music, his style of music. I've heard of him, okay? And the only thing that I could relate to him was he won, I think one of them years, I don't know if that was his first year coming out or what year it was, he won like 6 or 7 Academy Awards in one night. I can't remember the extent of none of his music because I've never heard not one song by him. And if I ever happen to be in a position or something where a vehicle or something was a song was playing, then I had no personal knowledge of knowing that he was that artist. So because sometimes you can be listening to a song and not know exactly who's making the song, who's singing the song, because you may not recognize the voice. But me personally, to my knowledge, I've never heard not one song that he's ever made. But I had the pleasure of meeting him, and we didn't stop and have a conversation. I was just in passing, recognized him, and all I did was pinch him on his cheek, okay? And I just kept going. I didn't even stop, okay? I was passing right by him, and I just pinched him on his cheek, and I just kept going, okay? So, I'm not gonna, but did that mean that I went back and said, oh, now let me go listen to his music? No. And I may eventually try to see if I can find one song that I can listen to, just to try to get his vibe. But then I probably won't, because he's an artist. And so when I start thinking about artists, then I start thinking about events. I start thinking about different things that goes on, across the community. And I think about, okay, if I was in the White House and I was the Madam President, is there any type of function or event that I would have where his presence would be warranted, which means where he would be on my guest list? If I'm just going to base things off of just who he is, then the answer would be no. But you know why? Know what's the problem with that? You can't judge a person by their title. He's an artist. And just because an artist decides to sing a song doesn't mean that that's the way that artist live his life. It doesn't mean that he or she can't put on an evening gown, can't put on stilettos, or can't put on a suit, a tie, or a tuxedo and all that, and tuxedo shoes and a tuxedo shirt, and come to an event and come to a function. It does not mean that. See, people fail to realize that discriminating comes in so many forms, so many different ways. So many things can be classified as discriminating. We have to stop discriminating against people because of their music. Because you take, for instance, okay, you gotta take Trey. You gotta just take it for what it is. No, he not walking around all day long in no suit or no tuxedo. But that doesn't mean that he can't dress when it's time to put on a tuxedo, that he can't put one on, because he sure enough can. Or if I was doing something and he had to be by my side, that he ain't gonna dress the part, because trust me, he would. You can't continue to judge people because of the songs that they singing. The songs does not make them who they are. Now, yes, we do have some artists that do get carried away with they music. And they singing about it, and believe me, that's what they about it. That's what they about. That's true. But that does not pertain to every artist. You got artists, people that are artists, which means they draw for a living, they paint. And what they paint about ain't got nothing to do with nothing about who they are. They just trying to paint a picture of something, a thought, a feeling, an emotion. That don't make that artist a poet. Do it? No, it does not. People have to stop putting titles and labels on these industries, because it is pulling these industries down. Because I've seen Trey, I call him Tremaine, but I've seen him in the tuxedo. I've seen him dressed. I've seen his hairstyle, his hair in other than braids. So I know what he looked like on the other side, should I say. But I didn't think that he had to be walking around like he needed a portfolio every damn way he go. So you can see the damn difference. This is me today because I'm gonna go do a concert. And this is the fans that I'm catering to. This is me tonight because now I'm gonna go to a dinner party. This is me tomorrow because now I'm going to a gala. This is me today because I'm at a fundraiser. This me right now because I'm finna attend an NFL football game. I don't think that people need to have a portfolio of every different way that they can dress or wear their hair or they different styles. But it damn near feel like that's what you need. Because if I go out there and I post a picture and my hair pretty and I'm pretty and I'm dressed nice and it's this, it's that, then y'all want to try to tear me the fuck down. But then let somebody else go out there and they go pose a picture and they be looking like then y'all got all kind of shit to say. Oh, well, they done lost 50 pounds. Well, did you not realize that they lost 50 pounds or 100 pounds, but that's a diabetic drug that they taking? They didn't go out there and lose that weight because they was at a damn gym. But that's not what you're saying. See, y'all don't want to speak truth. You're always trying to tear people down, tear things down, instead of lifting up the things that need to be lifted up. You had an NBA, you take James, for instance. Yes, he's been in the NBA for the last 20-something years. And I'm not going to say that he ain't good at what he do. Okay? But his son came into the NBA as the 55 pick. And y'all talking about him like he was the number 1 pick. But what about all these players that was in the top 10 or the top 15 or the top 20? You had 54 other players that was drafted before him, which means they are better players than him. But y'all ain't got nothing to say about that because y'all so busy on that ego of the fact that he's such and such son. And you talking about a man that should have been retired already. I mean, this is the ways that people are, what is this, stereotyping? Or because somebody make a certain amount of money or because they have done a certain thing. These things needs to stop because it is so unfair. I wish I could get an NIL deal. I really do. Because I'd be happy to go and drive your Mercedes. You own this company and you the founder of Mercedes-Benz and you want me to drive a Mercedes or you want me to drive a Bentley. Be my pleasure to be on the cover of your stuff, to represent your brand, your title, your style. I'd be more than honored to do it. But do you think I'm getting those perks? No, because here come all these NIL deals coming for all these young athletes, which is knocking everybody else. And I honestly think that the NIL deals really need to have restrictions. Because what's not fair about it is now you got these athletes that college hop. They make agreements to do one thing. And then as soon as somebody else come and say, we'll give you your own shoe line, then they gone. Or we'll give you $100,000 more than this school. And then all of a sudden, they bounce ship. I don't know who changed the rules to the way the NILs are being done today, but they need to fix it. They really need to fix it, because you have players that's going to school and it's not about the school, it's about the money. And they're going to go to these schools and they're not going to do a damn thing. When they coming in would have been coming into a prestige or predominant school or all five school and being a top player. So coming with that would have came the perks. You have to have incentives, and I get it. But when it was across the board that you had coaches or recruiters, they couldn't provide you with no money and things like that before. They need to go back to that. They really do. Because you have these young athletes that's going to these professional sports and they're already millionaires. So if you come into the sport and you're already a millionaire, then why in the fuck you playing the sport? For what? Because those NIL deals are going to continue. And there's somewhere in it should be a conflict of interest. Somewhere in it. You cannot and should not be allowed to do both. If they go professional, then at that point, if you decide to go professional, NIL deals need to cease. When you decide to sign that contract to go play a professional sport, then you should no longer be eligible for NIL deals. Because NIL deals are supposed to be pertaining to college athletes. These are the things that needs to change. These are the things that I am going to change. I don't know what that falls under, or what rules or what laws need to be passed, or what needs to change with the on the legislature or with Congress, or how the bill need to be written. But you're talking about professional sports, something that you are a person is being paid to do. And the way that they are doing it right now is illegal. It is. You got a lot of things that's going on now in these professional sports that is illegal. There's a lot of things that needs to change. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. I can go into climate control. I can start talking about infrastructure. I can start talking about things going on at NASA. There's so many things that I can talk about and address. But the episode is not going to be long enough for me to address all the things that need to be addressed. And we're talking about on all levels. We got programs out there that you can go to and work as civilians. That's part of military. And that should not be even happening. Certain things should be confidential. And you wonder how you go out there and things begin to happen. You wonder how you go out there and things began to happen. Like just not that long ago, a week or so ago. Russia. in the middle of the Pacific with what? Okay? And the first thing that people gonna say is, oh, well, they ain't had no nuclear weapons on board. It's a submarine. And what do submarines do? They're underwater. And do you really believe that they was really going to have something that was going to be visible for the American people or the American military or the American government to know? I mean, come on now. I mean, do y'all think Russia's stupid? Russia fighting a war. So that alone ought to let you know that they ain't stupid. I mean, do I really got to have this conversation? Especially this conversation. I'm talking about this conversation. What do you think it means when people be at sea? What do you think they doing if they at sea? One thing when I was in Mexico, when we made it into Mexico, and I'm not going to say what part, I saw so many Coast Guard. And not only did I see Coast Guard, but I saw, I guess what you can say, well, that's kind of, yeah, that's Coast Guard, but you're like your Border Patrol, things like that, the police, you know, your Water Patrol, police, things like that, okay? Boats in the water. And why you think that is? It sure wasn't because they had a hurricane forming that hit Mexico or a certain part of Mexico. I think maybe about a 4, category 4, but you don't hear too much being said about that. But I noticed that when I was standing out on the balcony of the boat the ship I was on, they had a lot of Coast Guard in the water. And I was saying to myself, I wonder what's going on in Mexico. Because people be traveling all the time. And they coming in on ship. And you're not getting on no ship with no contraband, no weapons, no illegal drugs, or none of that kind of stuff. Because they searching. They dogs sniffing everything. You ain't gonna get past them with the shit. They searching your luggage, and then after they done searched your luggage, then they searching you. Then they dog sniffing you. So you ain't gonna get on it with it. And if you just so happen to get past a dog and you got some contraband, then the shit that apparently you thought you had ain't real. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay? I just got to be real with you. And then when you get off the ship and you going into Mexico and you going through their security. You know, they have it now when you go through they security is kind of like set up like you walking through a liquor store, like a department store. And they just blend it all in. Cameras, the little security things, everything. So you ain't coming into Mexico with shit illegal. Damn sure ain't coming in with no fucking contraband. I was in a store buying some souvenirs or whatnot, and he gonna say, "What about a tequila shot? You want a tequila shot?" So of course he pulled out a bottle of tequila. And of course I'm going to take a tequila. I'm going to take a shot. Why? Because that's some of the most purest form of liquor. Smooth as it can be. It's tequila. And Mexico is known for what? Tequila. That's where it's made it. That's where your tequila factory is at. That's about the only thing you're going to get in Mexico is a good ass drink. I ain't talking about on the ship. I'm talking about in Mexico. Because on the ship itself, I drank. I ain't never get no buzz. I know a lot about liquor. I know a lot about the liquor, a lot about your brands of liquor. And that matters. And then I also know that when you on the ship and you serving that much liquor a day, you ain't finna pull out no what? Premium shit. So, my point though, is that there's a lot of things that needs to change. And people have to be mindful of that. I don't know what's going on in Mexico. I know Mexico is high alert for world travel, for traveling. It's codes open. Other. When this hurricane just hit, they went to a code red. Code red. I had just made it home. I made it home on the 4th of July. But one thing I do know is I know that ship was hauling ass. Because the storm was in the Gulf. So people need to realize that life is real. That people have your best interests, and sometimes it's not the American people. Sometimes it's not always about because you are in the United States, because at this time I was out of the country. And I'm going to be internally thankful, and I'm grateful, and I am, and I'm going to say it because I'm very thankful. But that's what happens when you have a captain. And I'm going to leave it at that. Tomorrow is not promised to nobody. When I got on that boat and the ship and decided to go on the cruise, which was last minute, I knew that there was a storm in the Gulf. But I didn't know to what extent. And just like that, I'm actually in a room that's right by the bridge of the ship, which means any form of light and things like that would have messed with the navigation system. So my thing is, we have to appreciate our blessings no matter how they come. And we also must realize that we can't be so quick to cast opinions about people just because they may dress a certain way or they may do a certain thing, because that's not always what warranted, which means it's not always, your opinion may not be right. Now I'm not saying that I'm gonna be in the White House and this man is gonna have braids in his hair, because he's not. I'm not saying that. That part of his dress code, his attire is not going to be acceptable. He get it. I get it. We get it. But right now, his attire and his dress style and the things that he do is acceptable for what he has been doing over the, just say, the last 6 months, and he's been on tour. But when y'all begin to want to question people's motives or their intentions, doesn't mean that that person isn't solid. If I had to have somebody to catch my back right now, this moment, this day, I would choose him in a second. And I'll never question that. I'm Keisha. Thank you for listening to the Keisha Phillips Show.